What's going on, family? It's Marv, OneRepAtATime.net with a brand new exercise tutorial video. Today is going to be the mother of all exercises. If squats are the king of all exercises, the mother of all exercises, the deadlift. So I just got finished doing a workout on my own, figured I'd shoot a really quick exercise tutorial. So let me go over the setup, coaching points, mental cues. There is a lot to cover with the deadlift. And then I recommend, until you feel confident and competent doing it on your own, you can do your first few warm-up sets with me in your ear, so to speak. Now, I don't use fake weights, I use real weight, so when the bar comes crashing down, it is going to be loud. So just forewarning you, especially if you have, the earbuds in and you have the volume up when you're doing your warm-up set. So, the deadlift. So we're going to come up to the bar, and if you watched our rack pull video, which I typically, if you're a client, start with rack pulls and then move to the deadlift. When we're looking down, it should be right around the knot of your shoelaces, so about the middle of your foot should be looking down on the deadlift. Now, I take a slightly narrower than squat stance for mine. Now, you can do a sumo, which is something like this, but this is going to be for a traditional deadlift. So we come up, feet are mid-foot, right above the knots in the shoelaces. Now, this is a hip hinge movement, so we'll show you the side angle in a sec. But my hips have to come back as I press them back, and I grab the bar right outside of my feet. And then I'm going to show, and then the most important thing is, before you do every deadlift, you need to pull the slack out of the bar, which is this sound right here. And then I stand up, bring my hips forward. When I come down, hips come back, I fold forward. So, that's me. I'm pulling, see that? That's me pulling the slack out of the bar because I don't want that motion. Pull the slack out of the bar, you'll be significantly stronger because you're already set up. Now, it is a deadlift. Deadlift. It needs to come to a complete stop. I don't want the bouncing version. You can do that 1,000,000 times and be fine. Rep 1,000,001. The bar bounces away from you. You have a significant amount of weight. Your low back rounds, there goes your disc or your lower back. So do not bounce it. Every rep is a dead lift coming from a dead stop. Super important. Now, similar to a rack pull, once we get in position, and I'm going to show the side angle, we're picturing squeezing oranges in our armpit. And we're pulling our chest tall, so I don't want shoulders rounded and loose. You picture there's oranges in our armpit, I start to squeeze them, I pull the slack out, now my chest is nice and tall, and as I stand up, I bring my hips forward, nice and tall, boom, and then I simply reverse it. Hips come back, fold forward, control it. Oranges in the armpit, pull the bar, slack out of the bar, chest is nice and tall, come up, extend the hips, and back. One more. So, grab it, boom, squeeze the oranges on my armpit, pull the slack out, chest nice and tall, boom, and there we go. Now, as far as the hinge portion and where your hips should start, we've done a video on this previously, but we're going to go over it again. So I stand up, like I said, bars right over the middle of my knots of my laces, middle of my foot. Now, you see, I'm not coming down, my hips, it's a hip hinge, my hips are moving back and down. Now notice where my hips are. There's this coaching point of we want our hips as close to the bar as possible. Well, people will misunderstand that, so they'll start something like that. And that, essentially, you're squatting it up. Boom. I'm just doing a really awkward squat. So, when they say hips as close to the bar as possible, they're talking about not vertically. So vertically would mean this is closer, that's farther away. They're talking horizontally from distance. So back here, see my hips are farther away. If I raise my hips up, nice and tight, now I'm over the bar, I'm closer to the bar, I'm going to be stronger. Pull the slack out, boom. Pull the slack out, oranges, nice and tall. Notice my hips are moving back and forward. Slack out, back's nice and tight. That is a coaching point that everybody gets wrong. Okay, so when it comes to breathing, we're going to be bracing, so we have a lot of weight under our core. So similar to a squat, you're pretty much going to be holding your breath during the lift. So what I like to do, get set up, is take a big gulp in like I'm gulping air, brace my core, breathe out at the top, another breath in before I come back down. So every time you're moving, You're bracing your core with a big breath of air, supporting it, your spine. So, alright, so again, there's a lot to it, so simplify it. Come up, middle of the foot, grab just outside, hips come back. Now the bar is in contact with my shins the entire time. Squeeze the oranges, pull the slack out, my chest is up, my hips are over the bar. I'm not dropping down. My hips are tall, my back's nice and tight. Stand up, breath out, breath in before we come back down. Then stop. Big gulp, squeeze the oranges, pull the slack out of the bar, keep your chest nice and tall. And that is how you deadlift. So let's do that warm-up working set. Again, I apologize. I will do my best to set the bar down carefully. When you are doing deadlifts for weight, I don't care about setting the bar carefully. Let it come, let it slam, but you still have to press your hips back. We don't want to round the low back. No, no, no. Okay, so come up to the bar. Looking over your shoelaces. Grab it just outside. Hips come back. Grab that bar as hard as you can. You're squeezing that bar as hard as you possibly can. Grab the oranges in your armpit. Pull the chest nice and tall. Slack out of the bar. Big gulp in. Up. Breath out. Big breath in before we come back down. Boom. Good. Here we go. Squeeze the bar. Squeeze the oranges. Pull the slack out. Chest nice and tall. Big breath in. Up. Extend the hips. Nice and tall. Breath out. Big breath in before we come back. Hips come back. Good. 2 more. Grab the bar as hard as you possibly can. Squeeze the oranges on the armpit. Pull the slack out of the bar. Chest is up nice and tall. Boom. Hips forward, stand up. Breath out. Big breath in. Brace your core before you come back down. That one was loud. I apologize. Alright, last one. Grab that bar as hard as you can. Squeeze the oranges. Pull the slack out. Chest nice and tall. Big gulp. Up. Boom, and that, family, is how you deadlift, 1 rep at a time.